governance and structures around. And having chatted to the leaders around the room today, I feel that this has been well thought out and considered. So, why is it that organizations still get it wrong? And this is where innovation goes to die. First things first is that giving the organization some sort of direction, strategic alignment, where are we as telecom positioning ourselves for the future is really important. It gives innovators and idea owners the direction in which to come up with new ideas. The second one is be careful of the innovation theatre. And I'll talk a lot about what innovation theatre is. Innovation theatre is, setting up these beautiful, expensive places where we talk a lot about innovation, but nothing ever gets done. The third one is being very focused on the product rather than the business model. And the last one is not having any metrics to go and measure whether this is successful or whether this is failing going forward. And so why is strategic alignment so important? Well, strategy without innovation is just central planning. It's how we structure the business to operate on a daily basis. Innovation without strategy leads to chaos. Everyone runs around doing different things. There's duplication all over the organization, and we don't have the direction in which to move it. And so I really love this little pillow over here because I've worked in all four of those before in my career.
I like this one.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to a time in our working career where we worked in one of those quadrants. The ideas graveyard, or the ideas cemetery. This is where innovation goes to die. And so I'm really careful of setting up innovation labs and innovation capabilities without the structures, governance, and metrics behind it, and without a framework to go and execute on. I'm going to keep repeating the word execution throughout my talk, because ideation without execution is just that. It's just ideation, and it will never lead to innovation. So be very careful that you've got a strong framework in place, that you know how to go and test with customers, that you're applying the right methodologies along the way, and I think you can easily avoid what has become well known as innovation theatre. And then often there's the wrong focus. I come across this all the time. The first one over there is too much focus on following one single methodology. So I've walked into companies or startup labs and they say, no, we're all about design thinking, or we're all about agile, or we're all about lean startup. At the end of the day, entrepreneurship is an art, and it's about encouraging an environment for people to flourish and giving them the right tools to support their journey along the way. So design thinking is a fantastic methodology for exploring a problem and designing for the customer in mind. Lean startup is a great way of learning fast how you can go and test and validate an idea. And agile, if you're building software products, is a great way of learning when things are continuously changing. And so bring the best of them all together and apply it to your context. Lynn spoke about having your feet firmly grounded in your context. I think bring all that in and apply the best from the methodologies across. Then build rather than buy. We have this inherent need to always want to build things ourselves when there are things out there that already exist that we can leverage or partner with. And one of the biggest decision points that all of the startups and scale-ups and that side are going to face as they move towards optimizing their minimum viable product is what capabilities do they build, borrow, or buy and combine together. And then the product versus the business model, and this is a slightly contentious one, but I often feel that people go out and build products too early without thinking of it as a business model in its entirety. And so what the lean canvas is really valuable for is helping you define firstly your problem, but making you think about who your customers are going to be, who are those early adopters, how do you reach them, and how are you going to make money at the end of the day. And then there's some other considerations. And this is specific for an organization like the Digital Amoeba. So what is the take-home criteria? In the first year, is it about anything? Are we going to go wide? Or are we going to narrow it down into something more specific? So some of the things we need to consider are, is the idea big enough? Is it scalable to a big enough audience or population? Will it be properly sponsored by someone once it gets to that optimized level? And this is where, in my experience, I see so many good innovations fail because no one's willing to grab it and take it back into the organization. And we've spoken about strategic alignment. Funding is really, really important. The worst thing that could happen is that ideas fail along the framework because it gets held up by funding at the various stage gates. Make sure that your funding mirrors your innovation framework, and so that people are very clear about what they need to achieve and validate to unlock future funding. Governance is spoken about, and then create a simple language and a common understanding of what innovation means within telecom, within Indonesia, within a global context. Don't make it difficult, make it easy. And lastly, the metrics or the financials. So there's this immediate panic whenever you've got a new idea. The accountants come to you and they say, please show me your 5-year business case. I want to see the return on investment. I want to see what an internal rate of return is, and all these other financial metrics. But if you've got an early stage idea, you don't know what all the inherent costs are, and you don't know what the revenues are going to be. So rather go, give me money, or let me present a business case based on validated learnings. As we experiment, I will show you proof of a business model, and there you can give me my approvals. And so that's a lot to think about. And I know I'm moving through it pretty quickly as we're going to get to some Q&A. But I want to leave you with some key considerations about how you can go and navigate authentic innovation. The first one, and the one that I believe the most in, is be human. At the end of the day, humans still run the world. I know the robots are starting to take over, but for now, think about your staff, think about your customer, and think about what motivates them. And if you can apply motivation to not only the way of work, but also how you design for different innovations, I think you're onto a winning formula. One way you can do that is apply the methodologies that we spoke about, and I'll touch on them again. Design thinking is a wonderful mindset methodology to help you go out and explore where an opportunity is worth falling in love with. Lean Startup is a great way to go and validate your business model. And corporate entrepreneurship are all the learnings and things that you need to consider innovating in a large corporate environment. If you can apply this skill set, mindset, and experience into your teams, well, you're probably on the right path. And then cross-pollinate diversity. There is enough empirical evidence to prove that diversity in teams leads to greater success. So not only in diversity of age or gender, but in experience and different opinions. And I encourage to get people that challenge the status quo in your teams. And then lastly, well not lastly, but we spoke about experimentation a little bit earlier. And it was really interesting, from a human capital perspective, is how you create this environment for people to feel safe with their ideas and feel like there's a freedom to express a way of solving things. That is really, really important, but not to forget that you need to also accompany that with accountability. We talk about fast failure, which is good, but fast failure without learning and modification is just wastage. And so, in terms of, when we don't get the expected results, ask ourselves, what did we learn? What will we change? Not whose fault was it? When we set up a new project, what are our hypotheses? What are the experiments we need to do and go about testing? And how will we know when they've succeeded? And how will we know when they've failed? And after each project, what did we learn? What will we keep? What will we get rid of? And what will we try next? And this is a great framework to apply whenever you're innovating. This is how we do it at Fusion Labs, and this is an example with Westpac, one of the large financial institutions.
In order to validate this firsthand, is it a great concept? It's called a problem-solution fit. We've dispatched people to Double Bay of all places because we thought who better to let us know whether they've got problems with their kids spending too much than guys actually in Double Bay. We also just going to go down to Central, interview a few students. The demographic we're looking at with kids is probably over 18-year-olds, so people going for a night on the town. One of the important things for us is to narrow it down to like really tight segments. What we're going to do here is we've split the teams into 5 areas. One is we're going to start marketing the concept on social media as if the thing already exists. And we're going to see how many people click through. We're going to target like mums groups, parents groups, as well as anywhere we can find those clusters of potential users. We want to get immediate feedback. Then what we're going to do is we're going to carry on with the 20-minute competitor analysis, just understand what's going on behind the scenes there, who else is doing what. We don't define our competitors to banks. We're going to look all over the world, different industries, etc. The next thing that we're going to do is come up with a solution roadmap. So we're going to try and work out what the solution could look like, what other cool stuff we can add into the solution. And then we're going to go on to full canvas, which is like, will this work as a business? Is it feasible, viable, and desirable? Another team's going to just start building it. Hey, how's it going out in the field?
Yeah, really good. Really interesting.
Yeah.
I'll give you a quick this is what we're finding out. The overwhelming majority don't think it's a problem we're solving, and if anything, have a massive issue with controlling the kids' spending. There's no need to control kids' money, you're actually limiting their education by forcing the control of it. What they care much more of is educating and empowering their kids, developing trust amongst them, etc.
So after collecting insight from the interviews and from various conversations that were being had here, what we're going to do now is take a break, spend some informal time playing ping pong in the street, come back, and hopefully we'll be refreshed to kick things back into place.
We were solving the wrong problem.
Okay, so we've learned a lot. We realized that we're barking up the wrong tree with control. It's all about empowerment. We looked at how we could do that. We actually realized that the peer group shouldn't be the parents trying to control people, but their friends trying to help them. And so we've come up with a way to link data, get certain patterns of behavior, and then have a fiscal fitness coach that tells you how to correct behaviors and to save better and to spend better. And then there'll be awards and challenges. We're going to build that up now.
That'd be great, yeah. So we contacted David, who's the GM of the Asia Pacific Yodlee business, to get access to their API to represent transactional data history, so we can better understand what's happened over a period on a transaction history on a credit card or debit card.
See the red marks are the things that we originally thought were good ideas. We found that we were wrong, and so we've created a whole new business model.
Right now we are finalizing our design. We have sent our wireframe to our developer team in the Ukraine. As soon as we finish this, we're going to send it all to them, the final design, and we're going to make it happen.
So it's in a real time, and you're walking past a candy shop or wherever you
And so, yeah, that was in 24 hours that we did all of that. So,
Right.
one day of work.
Now we need to change the design sprint from 5 days to 2 days now to 24 hours. Thanks to you.
I think your team has to have a lot of patience with you if you want that done in 24 hours. So, what I wanted to emphasize by that is just the principle of going through this process. And if you focus on the problem and really go and understand what it is you're solving for, you've probably got a much higher likelihood of success. And so we went after control as a mechanism early on, and we found it wasn't about control, it was about coaching, and it was about empowerment. And so if you think big, you're able to start small, and you inevitably can scale fast. And so this is the framework that I want to spend some time taking you through. This is the double diamond, as we like to call it at Fusion Labs. And essentially what it focuses on is a process of customer discovery early on. And this is really where you go and explore opportunities and ability to synthesize all those learnings into a problem worth solving for. From there, which is that, from there it's about going why. It's about ideation, it's about asking how might we, and putting the problem statement in front of that, and then testing, validating as we move towards prototype, MVP, optimization, and scale. So how do we go and do this? Well, the first thing we need to do is build the right team. I think far too often we start without the considerations about who needs to be involved in our initiative. Jeff Bezos, the Amazon CEO and founder, says you need to be able to feed your team with 2 pizzas. And so I think that's a good proxy for probably the right size, because you don't want to let groupthink set in, but you need to consider how you build that team through the journey of the innovation. And so focus on that diversity. Don't outsource